Welcome in to the DNVR Avalanche Podcast, live from the Toyota Lounge. At least two of us are back in studio. We've got Big E, we've got AJ calling in, and we've got Rudo coming to you on a Friday. Another Friday in August. There's only one more Friday left in August. We've almost made it through, fam. It's almost September. We're going to make it. Hockey's just around the corner.
It was Friday today.
Well, now you know. You're welcome for that little tidbit.
Thank you.
It's Friday, buddy. It's Friday, buddy.
Should be a fun show. We got some stats to show you. We're going to talk about the players that are going to improve the most, or most likely to improve the most this season. I think there's a couple of obvious candidates, but, you know, maybe also some sleepers, too. We'll get into all of that. Not a whole lot of surprise, perhaps, unless someone's picking Nathan MacKinnon to have a 150-point season or something crazy, which I'm not going to do, but you know what? Power to you if you think that's going to happen. No real news for the Avs today, but, you know, alumni game right around the corner. There are a lot of Avs. Yeah, look at that. He's even got the alumni hat on right there. Biggie's ready to rock. Should be fun. A lot of Avs back in town, whether it be for the alumni game, for the golf tournament they have going on, or just, you know, skating around at family sports. Are vibes good right now for the Colorado Avalanche skaters? A bunch of them just got back from Nathan MacKinnon's wedding, or are on their way back from Nathan MacKinnon's wedding. Feels like vibes are up. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah,
the vibes are great.
Yeah, I mean AJ's pumped, and then guys like Bardakovs are in town, right? You know what I mean? So it's nice. You're right. Alumni right there. You know, big game against DU. The Young Bucks. Apparently, DU's got a young lineup. So we're going to see that, you know, Sunday. There's a lot of experience on the Avs side. I'm on the bench. You know, we don't have a bad bench. We have a Hall of Fame bench with me. You know, Goulet, Sakic, Turgeon, and me on the IR, and we're going to be behind the bench, so it's going to be fun. And but it's good to see this morning at the golf tournament, Forsberg and you know, Heinold and Sakic and, you know, Turgeon, guys that are coming in to town. It's been fun, and footy's supposed to come in. Tyson Barrie, guys like that. So I guess we'll see them around this weekend. But it's fun weekend for the alumni. It's funny because you haven't seen guys sometimes in a few years, and then you just kind of picked it up right where you left it off, and it's so fun. And it was great to see some guys this morning, but I tell you, it smells like hockey. You know what I mean? It just does, and I think we're all excited for it, and I think we're all excited for the Avalanche to get going there. So it's fun when you start seeing guys coming to town. You know, it's like, all right, let's get this going. Let's get everybody get organized, and then let's put the real stuff.
It's interesting to see the Avs starting to get that second generation of retirees that are like well known and hang around the team. Obviously, the Avs 1.0, but then you kind of had that dark era. I see chat mentioning Paul Stasny's name, who hasn't really come to these things. Although he didn't retire that long ago, to be fair, he was still playing. But that mid 2000s era, a lot of those players have not really maybe stayed connected in the same way. Although I guess Lyles is still around, to be fair, but. Now you have the Tyson Barries of the world showing up to stuff like this.
Yeah, EJ, who knows what's going to happen? I know he's doing the game Sunday with McGahey.
Yeah.
So he'll be doing the play-by-play there with Connor. So, you know, who knows what his future is in hockey. But, I think some guys are... Peter Mueller, another one. We talked about the famous shootout against Jonathan Toews this morning, him and I. So he's retired now, and he's going to stick around. And so you're right. You're starting to get that era right now of guys that are, you know, starting to retire and then kind of make their way here or not, or wherever they're gonna. You know, Paul was gonna make his way here. Now he's settled in St. Louis, so it's a little different. But he was supposed to be here this weekend and couldn't make it. But it's kind of fun to see all the plateaus of guys that are starting to retire and go from there. You know.
Yep. Time marches on, as they say. So there'll be another wave sooner than I would like, probably.
Hey, I always say we all end up in the beer leagues, right?
True. Except for me,
point,
I would have to get on the ice to end up in the beer
18,
leagues.
At 18, 16, 25, 35, 45, whatever, you end up in the beer league. So it's just it's a fact.
Well, look, if I show up in the beer leagues, I can only improve because playing at all. So maybe I'm the biggest improver this year. But when speaking about actual good hockey players, and it comes to improvement for the Colorado Avalanche, let's first start with the goalies. And we're not going to have statistics here. Goalies are a little bit more complicated. Once we get into skaters, we'll have a bunch of numbers to throw at you. But for Blackwood and Wedgwood, realistically, how much better can they get as a tandem for the Avs in this upcoming season? Because you look at last year, they came in, and obviously compared to what the Avs are running for the first couple months, they were great. Significantly better. At times, they were unbelievably good. As the season went on, you saw it kind of go up and down at times. Still finished well enough for the regular season. But is there more in the tank there for these goalies, or are we just asking them to have a repeat performance?
Yeah, the Avs last year went from two goaltenders that gave you an 874 and 872 save percentages to guys that gave you a 913 and a 917. 913 was Blackwood, 917 Wedgwood. So you're talking about a gigantic jump.
Yeah.
Like sometimes we make way too much of save percentage where it's like, 0.05%. You're talking about the difference of like 1 or 2 goals, right, over a longer period of time.
0.4%. That's a huge margin.
Right. You're talking about a 40-point jump here. And you could just tell the way that, because we were so sick of talking about, like, arguing with like, the defense is terrible. Georgiev and Annunen can't do anything about it, and like, it sort of became a self-fulfilling prophecy because by the end it was kind of true, because the defense completely lacked any trust whatsoever in those goaltenders, that they were selling out and doing crazy stuff, that when they got those two, when they got the Woods in there, they were like, all right, we can just go back to playing regular defense. Their game improved significantly. Their trust went way up. Yeah. Everybody's job got a little bit easier, and Blackwood and Wedgwood both were really good. Now, Blackwood was aces out of the gate, like his first 11 starts, and then he tailed off a little bit after that. Same as his postseason performance, frankly.
Yep.
Yep.
Really good start through games 1 through 4, games 5 through 7, nowhere near good enough. So I think you just want it to level off a little bit. You're always asking for consistency from a goalie. You're going to have bad games, you're going to have great games, but if you could just settle into that nice middle area for an extended stretch, you're going to be really good. Wedgwood, same thing. Just be the guy that you were last year in Colorado. Don't be the guy that you were in Nashville, which, I mean, he played like triple the games in Colorado as Nashville, so I'm not too worried about it. This is a long-winded way to get to where right where you started, Rito. Yes, just be what they were.
Okay.
And the Avs will be in great position.
And here's what I'll add to it, because those are a couple points you just talked about that make me want to add to it. You're absolutely right. When you don't trust your goalie, right? When you don't trust, who is it? The Walrus that always talks about in our chat? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when you don't trust, you walk differently, right? According to Walrus. Mm-hmm. Well, you play differently. And this is the truth. You're so not sure of what's going to happen. And like you said, you start selling out. You start you change your game. You're not playing your game because you're so scared that the puck's going to end up in the back of your net. That's a known fact. That is so true. And you could feel it, and you could feel it in the guy's comments. And I'm not here to bag on anyone that was here before. But when the Woods came in, that went away. So as far as Blackwood, I think he came in exactly hoping, the three of us, of what he was going to be, right? You know what I mean? For the most part, again, lights out. So put an average in there. I thought it was really good. I think Wedgwood, I don't think you can get any better. Like, his numbers are absurd.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, Wedgwood as the backup, as the team guy, I don't think if you get that again, my Lord, let's raise our hats. You know what I mean? Like, good for him. And again, Blackwood, you touched on it right there. You said it. I just don't want to see, we're talking about improvement, right? I just don't want to see 3 games in a row of sub 5, 6, 7, right? You want to make sure you find that groove, you know what I mean? And that's the difference between winning and losing, right? And he's not the only one. We all know that the Avs didn't play the greatest, right? Didn't protect the leads, but it starts with your goalie too. So I love Wedgwood. I think he learned. I love Wedgwood. I do. Blackwood, he is the starter. There's no doubt about it. But I think he learned a lot last year. I think he learned on being those pressure situations. You're not playing in San Jose on a Tuesday night and a meaningless game. This is about expectations to win. I think he learned a lot. I think you'll see a different goalie this year. So I do believe there'll be improvement there. That's just where I think there'll be improvement.
It's about the little details, right?
Yeah.
We talk about this all the time with goalies where they come into a new team and it takes time for them to adjust to the systems in front of them. And now Blackwood started out great anyway because he was just playing really well, and that's awesome. But coming into this season, he should have a pretty full view of he knows where his defenders are going to be. He knows the way the Avs like to play defense in front of him this year, which should give him an opportunity to be hopefully a bit more steady in net. Prepare himself for where the Avs maybe lack a little bit defensively. Not that they're bad by any stretch. I think we'd all have their defenses top 10 in the league. But, no defense is flawless. So Blackwood should hopefully have the edge in some of the small things this year, I think, that he maybe lacked last season. And I'm kind of with AJ. If they put up the same numbers they did in the regular season last year across the season, they'll be more than fine.
We're good.
So not asking for too much improvement, I think, in net, as opposed to some of these other skaters that we'll get into in a minute here. Before we dive into this, I do want to ask you guys quickly, and we don't need to go deep into these couple of guys, but when you look at MacKinnon and Makar at the top of this lineup, is there another gear there for those guys, or are we just getting the best out of them as is?
I actually think that there's a chance McKinnon's numbers suffer a little bit because of a much better second line will give the
time on ice balance. Yeah.
Yeah, he might end up playing 21 minutes a night, 20 minutes a night instead of 22, 23, and you take those couple extra shifts away from him, and so I think that he could end up suffering. Like, I still think he's going to have a 100-point season. He should have a 100-point season, but I don't know that there's an extra gear there for him. And with Makar, we've been saying this for a while. He's going to have a 100-point season sometime in his career.
Yep.
Until it happens, I'm just going to keep saying this is the year.
Okay.
So this is the year. He's got another gear. Another 30-goal season, 75 assists. Give me 110 points. YOLO.
Yeah, and you're right. Mac is more... I think the expectations are 100 points, right? And I think it's 3 in a row now, or is it 3 or 4 in a row? Whatever it is.
3.
I think that's we all knew before it was the shortened season, the injury, whatever it was. That, and he's not going downhill, right? And he hasn't lost wingers, and he's not playing by himself. So, at the end of the day, I think that's the expectation. I don't know about improvement, but I think that's what's expected. And you're right about Cale. I think we all believe he's going to get that 100-point. And, for me, Cale for me is more about the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like, don't hit that dip, right?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And we all know that. And that's the only thing you can. And again, you had 5 points in 7 games, right? But it just wasn't Cale Makar. So I think that's the difference.
All right. So there is maybe some room there on Cale's side for improvement, even if it is ridiculous that he won a Norris Trophy. And we're like, no, he could do better. It's fine. Okay. We do need to hit our first break of the show here, and then we'll really dig into the numbers on some of these skaters for the Avalanche. And you should probably dig into the numbers on your next car and get with the official vehicle of DNVR in a Toyota. Whatever vehicle you're looking for, they've got it. If you're a truck lover, they've got all sorts of trucks. If you're an SUV lover, they got the RAV4, the 4Runner. If you just want a sedan, they got Corollas, they got Priuses, whatever it might be. They have the vehicle for you, and that vehicle has all-wheel or four-wheel drive with 17 different vehicles with that attached, whether you want to go off-roading or you just want some more traction on the roads in the bad weather in Colorado. They've got you there. And they've also got 16 different hybrid or zero-emission vehicles that you can jump into. That's more than any other automaker out there. It's a great way to save money on your commute. We're in studio. I had to commute today. Save a little bit of money when you got to do that, too. Jump in. They're not just the official vehicle of us, but they're the official vehicle of the Colorado Avalanche, too. So get to your front-range Toyota stores, including AutoNation Toyota, Rathbone, Centennial, Corin Toyota, and Boulder, Groove Toyota, in Littleton, Mount States Toyota in Denver, Stevens Toyota in Aurora, and Stevens Toyota West in Lakewood. Again, Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. Let's go places. And once you've got your Toyota all sorted out, you know what? Housing market's kind of hot right now. Maybe you're thinking about buying a home here in Colorado. I promise you're not the only one, so you got to give yourself the best shot. And that's where American Financing comes in. In this buyer's market, you've got the upper hand with them. More homes are on the market, competition is down, and serious deals are out there just waiting to be found. Whether you're a first-time buyer or you're looking to upgrade or even downsize, now is the time to get pre-approved, and American Financing can make that happen in 24 hours or less. And here's the kicker. When you work with both American Financing and their partner, American Home Agents, you can save an additional 1% up to $10,000 on your home loan. If you've been sitting on the sidelines, it's time to step in, and American Financing is the place to start. Don't let the 20% down myth stop you. You could buy a home with as little as 3% down, and with down payment assistance programs available, getting into a home might be easier than you think. You can call 303-695-7000. That's 303-695-7000. Or head to AmericanFinancing.net for more info. NMLS 182334, NMLSConsumerAccess.org. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. We have some numbers to work on. You guys want to start forwards or defense? We did goalies. Let's just go defense. Let's work our way up the list here. We already talked about Cale Makar a little bit. Jumping into the Avs defense, statistically, look, there's a reason I put Sam Malinski as the guy on the graphic that Tiff made so beautifully for us here when we're talking about guys with the most room to improve. But there are multiple other guys to talk about in this lineup. And when we're talking about improvement, especially with defenders, there's different things to look at. I put games played on here because you look at someone like a Josh Manson who you need to play more games. That alone would be a significant improvement. You look at someone like a Brent Burns. Is there room for improvement by him swapping teams? Carolina, a very heavy possession team, but maybe their actual results in production don't always align with that, given their low percentage systems. Looking at this defense, who stands out to you guys as players that can improve this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think the easy one is Sam Malinski, right? You're just looking at he should be in the lineup. He should be a regular. He had 15 points last year as a puck mover. Like, he should have a little bit more trust from the coaching staff, and he's too talented. He also, unfortunately, had a couple of goals pulled off the board because of offside last year. So I think that I think that there's a lot of reason for optimism that he should go from 15 to certainly to 20, but I would really, really like to see him get closer to 25 points. So I think it starts with Malinski for me.
I mean, I think there's a reason why he's on the graphic, right? So I totally agree with that. That's right. I mean, that's what makes sense. I'll be brutally honest right here, and I'm not making a comparison. I'm not. So let's hold our horses here. But there are times when I'm watching, I have to double look. Was this Cale? Or no, that was Malinski. So you know what I mean? So there's some parts of his game. Again, I'm not comparing. Please don't start that. I'm not going to put that pressure on that kid. You know what I mean? But there's times when you're like, and you got to look again for the guy to skate away and look at the jersey for a second. You know what I mean? Like, was that 8 or was that 70? And that's honestly like a big compliment to him. You know what I mean? So I do believe you're right that there is room for improvement there on goals, and I think getting shots through, you learn. It's hard at the start of your career, especially when you've never played pro, and then he can get a shot through. This is a guy that can get a shot through. Yeah, he got robbed last year a couple times with those offsides, whatever it was, but I think there's room there for improvement. I think with his isolated minutes, I do believe that it does play a role. We talked about John Clem yesterday. We talked about guys like that. I think there's, again, I was one of those guys on the forward side of things, but you can take advantage of that, and you can challenge yourself to produce a little more offensively. Even though you're not asked to, you still can challenge yourself, and I think he's the perfect example on the back end.
I love the optimism. I don't think it's necessarily wrong, but let me pump the brakes a little bit here. He's going to have to play on the left side, at least to start the year. He's going to be put on that left side.
Yeah.
he's going to have to prove he can do it on that side. And look,
I'd like to know if he did in college. Can we find that
I don't
out
know. I don't know if he played on his offside.
Is there like...
As AJ put it at one point, I forget when he said this, but when you move a defenseman to their offside, some of them look totally normal and some of them look like they're on the moon. So we'll have to see which one Sam Malinski.
Well, he won't last long. If he can't do it, then he won't last long.
To be honest with you, I went back and I watched all of his shifts from last season where he did play the left side, and he looked like he was on the moon. So there is, there is reason for doubt there, but also I don't think it's going to be long-lived, because when Josh Manson inevitably gets hurt and misses 40 games, he'll move to the right side, but then his partner will be Keaton Middleton. So
little of this, little of that, yeah.
Two tough roads,
guys.
Two tough roads for Sam Malinski.
Don't worry, my guy Grizzly's coming. Grizzly Bear.
I don't know about that.
Frankly, it makes the most sense. Sorry, this isn't really the point of the show, but it makes the most sense for the Avs to trade Sam Malinski for a third-line center and sign Matt Grzelcyk to do the same exact job, but on the left side, as a guy who actually plays the left side. It makes far more sense to do that, but neither here nor there.
So beyond the obvious choice of Malinski,
yes,
who are we really talking about realistically expecting improvement from? Where do you guys feel about Brent Burns joining the team? And then the other guy that I want to talk about is Taves, but we can start with Burns.
I do think Burns, 29 points last year. He only had 6 goals. He shoots a lot. His on-ice shooting percentage last season was astronomically low, especially on the power play. Is that a sign of age? Is that a sign of decline? Or is that just one of those tough seasons? 12 of the 18 years of his career in which he's played on defense, he scored at least 10 goals. I think that there's a reason to expect that in this offensively oriented system with a shooter, with the minutes that he's going to get, and guys like Lehkonen, Nichushkin, Landeskog in front of the net, where he shoots for a lot of rebounds. Well, there's a couple of puck hounds that I just named that like to live right in front of the net, and they're great for tips and rebounds. I think that this is a guy that could pile up the points, especially if he's sharing the ice pretty consistently with Colorado's top 6. I really, really like the potential for him to go from a 29-point season to a 40-point season.
40 points would be big. This is not a guy that's going to be playing on your top pairing. We know the Avs are one of the most prolific scoring defenses in the league every year, based almost entirely on Makar and Taves, let alone Girard and the guys behind him.
Yeah. 150 points right there.
Yeah, right. But you add Burns behind that, and we talk a lot about depth with this organization, and I think at times we get too tied up with, the bottom pairing or the bottom 6 of the lineup. Don't get me wrong, those players are important. You need good players there. But when you're adding that type of punch to a second pairing, teams are really going to struggle to keep up with your top end.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's why I think Sammy ends up with Burns this year. That's just my thought. That's just my thought process. I think that when it's all said and done, I think Sammy's partner for the season with the most minutes played with it will be Brent Burns. That's just how I think it's going to play out. You're talking about improvement. I'm not telling you that Sammy had a bad season, but I do believe he's a great fit for Brent Burns. You know what I mean? So maybe you see a little bit of improvement there. You know what I mean?
We've certainly talked the Girard-Manson pairing not working to death.
That's
at this
my point.
So,
you know what I mean? So I don't know about point-wise. I don't really care about points with Sammy. I just like when he's out there and he's buzzing and he's moving the pucks out and he's being effective with the puck. I do believe that you'll see improvement there. Now Burns, compared to Carolina, this is a totally different offense. We all know that. So you might see some points on the improvement point-wise. I'm going to throw someone, and I know you guys are. I'm not being sarcastic. I do believe Keaton Middleton's going to see some improvement on the limits.
He's going to play. So
that's
hopefully,
what I'm saying. So the limited minutes that he's going to play, which is we all know it's not a lot. I do believe he was here. And, he was probably there last year. I would have never expected him to get a call up and to get that many games last year. I think we're all in the same boat. And I do believe that You got to give him credit for what he is. And I think you got to give Prater credit too. And I do believe he will be better than. So you're talking about improvement. He will be better. Is he the seventh? I agree with all of us here. I'm not saying he's more than seven, but I do believe that you talk about injuries. He's gonna get in there. He just is. And I think there was a trust factor there last year from coach at some point. And I think you're going to see some, again, it was all brand new to him. I think you're going to see some improvement there with him.
You might. Look, the reality for guys like that is for a random game in November, he's a perfectly fine 60.
That's what we're talking about.
No problems there. And guys like that, you're not asking them to win games for you. You're asking them to not lose you games.
That's right.
That's it. So any improvement there is great, but the expectation level just isn't very high.
Well said.
It almost feels like cheating for Eric to pick Keaton Middleton, who had 2 points in 41 games.
You're not cheating. You're not trying to win, AJ. All right?
So, just for comparison, Oliver Shillington had 4 points in 13 games. So,
Boo-hoo.
And 8 of those games were some of the worst defense I've seen in years. I guess
ultimately...
So.
Oh, my God. It was... Yeah.
It was
tough. Don't need to hark back to the...
Is he anywhere right now, Shilly? He's
no, I think he's UFA.
Yeah. God.
No.
He'll get a PTO somewhere, I bet.
I saw, on a side note, Cunnin signed with...
Yeah.
So, AJ, you don't have to worry about it. The Avs can't sign him. He's gone.
I wasn't. Great, now he'll be awesome.
The other side of this, AJ, you talked about this with Taves a little bit the other day. You'd love to see him get back up to that 50-point mark that he was his first couple years in Colorado. His defense remains elite of the elite, one of the best defenders in the league, especially with his stick. How do the Avs balance looking for a 100-point season out of Makar, looking for an improvement in production out of Taves, with hopefully not grinding them into the dust of playing them 25, 26, 27 minutes a night this year?
I'm going to jump in there. I'm saying here's what I'm looking for. Again, are we that dumb? Like Cale Makar won the Norris?
I'm pretty dumb.
No, but I mean, like you said it, like Cale Makar won the Norris, and we're saying you can improve. Like, yeah, we are dumb. You know what I mean? We are dumb, and we keep saying he's the best player on the planet. So again, I want people to think we're critical. I'm saying that pair, I want them. Forget about points. I just want Taser and him to get back to that pure dominance. All three zones. Like they were maybe a couple years ago, you know what I mean? Or even that cup run. That's what I want to see. I want to see them like automatic, obviously, pairing name the Team Canada for the Olympics, right? The best of the best. You want them to be just an automatic, and again, I know they're viewed like that around the league, but you want them to show it night in and night out that as a pair, they're not humans. They're just Superman and, you know what I mean, and Batman and Robin or whatever you want to call it. But, that's what I'm looking for, and I do believe the points will come with that. Right, because I think it's just hand in hand. So that would be my take on my stupid take on on how do you make these guys, improve,
Sure.
That's how I look at it.
It's up to the players in some regard. AJ, I want to get your thoughts on it too, but we do need to take our second break of the show here, so let's make sure we get ourselves a little bit of money, as we are brought to you by Volo, Denver's most popular provider of adult social sports leagues. You can get pickup games, you can get in tournaments, events, all sorts of awesome stuff through Volo. I'm signed up for a little kickball league in September. Should be fun with some of my friends.
Love it.
We'll probably embarrass ourselves, but it'll be a good time, and then we'll go have drinks at the DNVR bar afterwards. So jump in. They've got sports for everybody. He's always in on the volleyball. We got pickleball, kickball, basketball, cornhole, and more with Volo. All over the city, too. Pretty much anywhere in Denver you can find sporting events. And if you're not in Denver, if you're in any significantly populated area or city, they probably have a Volo chapter, so go check it out. But if you are here, you can get in, meet new people, make friends, and you can get $10 off with code DNVR10 in any Volo league. So get signed up today, whether you're a free agent, a small group, or an entire team. They take all ability levels and backgrounds. Come have a great time with Volo. Once you've had your fun with Volo, or rather while you're having your fun with Volo, don't go blind. Don't be an idiot like me and stare into the sun while you're a child playing baseball the entire time and then lose your vision and have to get LASIK and do all of that. Just wear Shady Rays instead so you can actually see and live your life. You can head over to shadyrays.com to see their hundreds of different styles, including different polarization colors, all sorts of stuff. If you like sunglasses, they have a pair of sunglasses for you. I guarantee it. So go check them out. You can get to shadyrays.com and you use code DNVR to get 35% off your new pair of polarized sunglasses. The coolest part about Shady Rays, though, is for the first 30 days, they take care of you. If you get the sunglasses, you don't like them, you break them, or you lose them, Shady Rays will replace them entirely for free. So get with them again. Go to shadyrays.com. Use that DNVR code. We teamed up to give you that 35% off any pair of polarized sunglasses. And you can try the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people for yourself. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. AJ, did you want to wrap us up on any of the defensive stuff before we jump to forwards?
Yeah, just talking about Taves real quick. It was a tale of two seasons for him. We're talking about numbers and offensive production here. We know that his defense got better, but you look at what he did. 13 points in the first 33 games for Devon Taves, which is a 32-point pace. All right?
Yeah.
That's not good enough. That's not what they're paying $7 million for. But from that point on, much better.
It would be, 31 points in the last 50 games or something? Yeah.
Yeah. It was 31 points in 43 games, which is a 59-point pace.
Yeah, that's
outrageous. The guy that you're expecting to get.
Yeah.
So from game 34 on, you got Devon Taves. Like the Devon Taves that you wanted, that you're paying for, that you're wanting to see, that you're playing on a top pairing. Part of that is going to be the improved depth on the team as the year went on. But part of that is just that he was flat out playing better, producing.
Yep.
So I'm not looking for him to necessarily take a big step forward statistically, maybe a small one from the 44 points that he had. You really want him to be in that 50-point range. He's playing with Cale Makar, Nathan MacKinnon more often than he's not. Like 60% of his ice time is with those guys, or is with Nathan MacKinnon. At forward, like 90% of his ice time is with Cale Makar. So you want to see him. Like, this is not a guy that you're like, 30 points is fine as long as his defense is great. No, it's not. It's just not. You need
not
to
for
be
a top
producing
guy.
at a really high level. Yeah, when you're spending a third of the game, of the entire game, not your game, the entire game, you're on the ice next to Cale Makar, you need to be producing a 50-point seasons. That's it.
Yep.
That's what I've got on it. So a small improvement from him gets him there. You get the guy that you got from game 34 on, you're Gucci.
Ooh, something smells so good at the bar right now. I don't know what that is, but I want some of it.
Chili.
When you look at someone like Taves, I think the conversation becomes similar to conversations we've had about some of the depth forwards for the Avs, as we can transition over to that. Improvement maybe even isn't necessarily seeing the numbers. You do need to see some guys' statistical numbers go up. But also what we're really asking of a lot of these guys is more consistency, right? Ross Colton, he scored 11 points in 9 games and then go 20 games without a point. You can't do that. You got to even it out. Even if that means, you only scored 8 points in those 10 games, you make up for that by scoring 6 points in the next 10 instead of 0. And it ends up net positive for the team as a whole. Same can be true of some other guys in the lineup. Even a guy like Parker Kelly, I know that's a lot more positionally dependent. Please put him on the wing. He's not a 4C. Yeah, he's not on here, but that's because he's not going to improve that much. The forward core as a whole, first of all, the free roll pass that no one's allowed to say is Gabe Landeskog, because him just showing up is a massive improvement for not just him, but the team as well. So, playing games at all.
1 point is an improvement.
Right. It's been 3 years of not playing in the regular season. So we kind of excluded some of the guys in the bottom of the lineup. One, LOC is going to start the season injured, so it's going to be hard for him to really improve across the course of a full season. If he does, he had an unbelievable year. I mentioned Kelly already, and then some of the guys that are going to be battling for positions like Bardakov, we excluded as well because we just don't have any data for him to improve from. So those guys aren't on the list, but no, the graphic is correct.
Yeah.
But you start looking into guys I think there's a number of different ways you can approach improvement in this forward core. The conversation everyone's been having right now, especially after the Olofsson deal, is can Jack Drury improve to be a real 3C in the NHL?
Yeah. That's a big one. I mean, if he can go from, he put up, 27 points 2 years ago in Carolina. If he can go from that to like a 35-point guy centering a third line with the defense and faceoffs that he provides, you're in very good position. Very good position.
Yep.
I'm his agent. As of
You
last
have
week.
been his agent.
I'm his
last
agent
week.
as of last week.
That's right.
Call me, Jack. Right here. As alumni. Call me. And yes, my family likes your uncle. Yes, it's not true. We don't like your uncle. With that said, inside joke. You know that. Here's what I'll say about Jack. In the summertime, like in management, like you're preparing for the season, and listen, no different than fans or us. Like you have a board right there in the room, right? And it's like projected lineup, like you see everywhere, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And instead of just putting in the name, like Faliber or whatever. Again, no offense to him. I think it's a great story. I wouldn't put that name there. I think you put an empty box there. But we used to have those arguments all the time, and it would be like, player X or whatever. Well, if you feel that confident that he's going to make it, Bardakov, like I'm telling you, I saw him all year. He's going to make the time. Like, perfect. Put him on the board. Well, I mean, I'm not going to put him on the board. But you're just saying, like, you're confident he's going to be. So for me, there's a big difference between, there's potential for someone to be there, and putting it on my what I'm trying to say there, my slogan or whatever it is, putting him on the board. For me, Jack Drury, I would bang the table, not as his agent, but in management.
Put it in pen.
Put it in pen. Put him on the board there. I'm that confident. So that you're talking about improvement. Well, it comes with the cookies, right? It's tough to gain weight if you don't eat cookies. You know what I mean? So you got to get the cookies. We all the good ice time, right? So if he's playing with Ross and Olofsson and get some good ice time, again, you're benefiting from playing behind Nelson and MacKinnon. Right? I mean, that you got to take advantage of that on a team like this, and Cale Makar in your back end, and Sam Girard and Brent Burns, feeding you the puck. Like, you got to produce. I do believe that. Put it on the board. This guy can play. And again, that's the agent talking. That's the fan talking. And that would be if I had my management hat on talking. I do believe they have it there. They don't need to do anything and to try to force themselves into anything. I think there's something that's right there. And find a 4C so we don't have to put Parker Kelly that we all like on the wing at center. Find a 4C. It's probably an easier task. It's not that easy. We all know that because we've been looking since last year, right? It's not that easy. But I do believe, what's his name? My client, Jack Drury, can be the guy that probably wins most improved there. I'm talking about point production wise. You know what I mean? He could be a guy that's right there.
He had 18 points at the end of last year. You definitely would like to see an improvement on that number, even if he does fall short of 35.
And the one thing I know, and the only thing I want to talk about, if I can jump in on one of my favorite subjects, meow, the cat. Again, I know you said it. I rely on you guys all the time for numbers. Viranta, que viranta. I rely on you guys for numbers. Yeah, of course, career year. No crap. I mean, yeah, of course it was. But here's my thing with the cat. I don't want him to score 6 in 3 games and go dormant for 45.
Again, consistency, yeah.
So that's your point you were talking about. I think he's got the crown for that. You know what I mean? I think he's got the crown. I'd like for him to maybe don't get 6 and 4. You know what I mean? Just get 2 and 4, but get 2 and 4 every time. And don't go, because when it dries up, as top end guys, it does dry up sometimes. Then all of a sudden, if your guys like that, like the cat, are dried up, it goes for a tough stretch.
Here's AJ, if you have something, go first, because I'm going to change the subject a little bit here. But
yeah, your worst culprit of that last year was Ross Colton.
Yes,
100%.
He had a 35 game stretch where 33 of 35 games he didn't score a goal.
Yeah,
and
it's just not
you're
good
not
enough,
a good enough playmaker to get by on
Yeah.
assists. So that's case anybody is curious, that is a 7-goal pace across 82 games. Now, obviously,
With ice time.
he scored more than that
He
because
was also on a 50-goal pace for a minute there. Yeah.
Exactly. So, AJ, what happened before that? Oh, he had 13 goals in 26 games, which is a 41-goal pace. So, you want to see, again, consistency. 16 goals, that's good stuff. He was on a 47-point pace, which, when you're on a 41-goal pace, to be on a 47-point pace is a little less impressive. But that, you marry those two extremes, and I think that you have a really good player. And I think it was 29 points that he had last year. He really needs to be in that 40 range. I would love to see him get to 40, 45. If we're talking about Jack Drury getting into the 35-point range, I think Ross Colton definitely bumps up above that.
Yeah.
And Victor Olofsson too. Victor Olofsson should be in the 30-plus range as well.
Yep. Those guys are married together when you think about it. Looking at it, right? Looking at the board right now, those guys are married together.
You want to see the Avs win as a team and lose as a team, right? Those big bursts of goal scoring. At times last year, I think it felt like the Avs were getting a little bit too much hero hockey, right? And not that it was bad. They were finding ways to win games, but relying on random dudes in your lineup to just have multi-goal nights to win every night doesn't feel as even keel as maybe you want it to be. But I did want to stick with Drury and Kiviranta a little bit specifically, and we can talk about Brent Burns in this conversation too. I think one place the Avs could look to improve as a team, penalty kill specifically. And they finished 12th in the league in penalty kill. They were fine, but south of 80%. And obviously special teams in the playoffs absolutely murdered this team. So that is an area where I think you look at a guy like a Jack Drury, you look at a guy like Kiviranta, who maybe you're even expecting to not produce quite at the same level that he did last year, but can still add value by improving a special teams part of the team.
Yeah.
Is there a way to look at it like last year? Their PK, like you said, what did you say, 14, 12, whatever?
12th, 79.8%.
If you take away the first 20 games, what's it at after?
You could do that.
Can you do that?
I'm not doing that on my phone, but
you
could do that.
No, but I'm saying I'm throwing a number that I don't even know the answer. I'm assuming if you take out the first 20 games,
it's probably better. Yeah.
I bet you they're probably top 7, top 6.
I bet AJ's
maybe
looking
I'm
it
wrong
up right now.
Am I wrong? Maybe I'm just throwing it out there.
No. I was tracking this all of last season from December 1st on because that's about when they really started to pick it up. For the record, from December 1st on, they were the 5th best team in the NHL, which sucks because number 1 and number 3 were Winnipeg and Dallas. That sucks. But their PK specifically was the 4th best PK. The 4th best PK from December 1st on.
There you go.
So maybe that's a Blackwood way to improve the team more than a.
That's my point.
More
if your
than
goalie
anything,
doesn't make a save, it's hard to have a good PK. I'm not.
You're not wrong.
Stalls. I'm just saying.
You're not wrong.
We weren't getting saves, right? I mean, I'll say we. It's a team game, from the fans to the media to the team. Weren't getting much saves, so there you go.
You move up into the upper echelon, the top 6 of this lineup, and I think there's actually a lot of room for improvement in the top 6. Now, a lot of that might well just be down to stay healthy and play more games. When you look at someone like a Nichushkin, when you look at someone like a Lehkonen, although realistically you're probably expecting Lehkonen's offensive production to regress. That's pretty straightforward to me. The interesting guys are the guys the Avs traded for last year. What can the Avs get out of a Brock Nelson? And what can the Avs get out of a Martin Necas in a full season in Colorado?
So I have a big piece on Necas that'll be coming out on Monday. That just sort of got delayed because that's how the world works. But 28 points in 30 games for the Avs in the regular season. I think you're looking for that to improve significantly. If he gives you the 83 points that he put up last year on the whole, that's fine. 83 points is acceptable. That's a point per game player. Now if he's going to play with MacKinnon most of the season, of course you'd love to see 90, 100 point season. But, I mean, 83 points, are we really going to be that upset about an 83 point season?
No.
No, I agree.
So,
especially if you're playing with Mac, right?
Yep.
It's the thing with Natchez is I think it maybe is less point production and more goal focused. Like you need a 30-goal season out of that guy, right? It's puck's got to go in the net. If it's 80 points, 30-50, fine. But if it's 80 points, 80-20, unless Nathan MacKinnon just had a 70-goal season, I think that feels a little bit disappointing. He's going to need to be one of the guys finishing for Colorado.
Yeah, and again, we'll see how. How's it going to shape up, right? Who's he going to play with? I don't know. Is he better off on his own? I don't know. Maybe. You know what I mean? I don't know. And when I say on his own, I'm not putting Brock Nelson.
He has to play with Brock Nelson, Gabe
Landeskog.
Landeskog. What a tough life that is.
That's what I'm saying again. Stupid comment, right? People are going to just tell me. I know, I get it. No, I'm saying separated from Mac. Who knows? It might work. Again, do I like them together? I do. I thought they were dynamite at the start, especially at the start last year when they got together, right? And it was like, the speed is overwhelming for teams. And so we'll see. But, yeah, you're right. I think there needs to be – you want improvement there. Like you said, 83 points. Is that a bad season? No, but it'd be nice to get some improvement there. You know what I mean? It'd be nice to get him into the 90s. Yeah. It'd be nice to get him to 100. You know what I mean? And again – contract-wise, if you don't have a contract by then I'm sure he's going to be very pleased to have that, in his arsenal. So, again, we'll see what happens with all that contract and the season and who he plays with. But
wait for AJ's piece on that. Yeah, exactly. He'll have a whole lot on it.
I think that if you're looking for a reason for optimism for a jump in point production and in goals, you look at what he did, his 30 games as an Av, he was on pace for 221 shots on goal on 440 shot attempts, which would be among the highest in his career. The 440 shot attempts would be his career high. The 220 shots on goal would be just below his career high. So that puts you right in that 30-goal territory with the quality of shooter that he is. So that is exactly what you're after. If he can up that rate just a touch, then you might be really dreaming on, hey, maybe he can give you 35 goals. And then, you get to 35 goals, he's playing on a line with Nathan MacKinnon and on a power play with him and Makar. 90-point season should be a fair expectation for that guy.
Yeah, that's about where I was too. I'd like to see 90. I'm not going to be mad if it's 85, but I'd like to see 90.
Right.
Nelson
if it's 70, you're not thrilled.
Yeah. 70 would feel bad. Nelson, on the other hand, 70 would feel amazing. You would kill for a 70-point season from Brock Nelson. So, it's interesting to see where those lines get drawn. Nelson is, look, the Avs made the commitment to him, right? They gave him the 3-year deal. They paid him $7.5 million. The reality of a contract like that is he needs to be one of the better 2Cs in the league, if not top 5. So he has to be able to produce for this hockey team. And, depending on who he ends up playing with, he needs to be a goal scorer to some extent. He needs to be that secondary guy that puts pucks in the net. That's why they went out and got him, is to put pucks in the net. And maybe he ends up playing with a guy like a Nichushkin who is just powering pucks into the net like he's capable of. Or maybe he plays with a guy that is more just a net front presence that creates screens for him to shoot. Either way, the strife at 2C has to end with Brock Nelson. He has to be the guy.
Yeah, and I always say with being camouflage, right? Camouflage being MacKinnon, right?
Yeah.
Now in New York, who was it? Barzal? You would like the other guy would have been Barzal, right?
Yeah.
So I think if you're game planning against the New York Islanders, I'm talking about of last year. You might just want to isolate, Nelson and not Barzal, right? There's not that big of a gap, or if there is any. Where here in Colorado they got to be worried about Nathan MacKinnon. They're not game planning against Brock Nelson. They're just not. And that's where I think the advantage goes to him, and that's why he needs to be, like you said, a 70-point guy, or top 5 2C in the league. Absolutely. And do I think he can do it? Absolutely. Do I think the Avs think he can do it? Yes, that's why, hence the signing, right? So I think he's got to prove to himself, too, that he is in a great situation. And I don't think in his career he's ever played as a camouflage guy. Maybe he's going to have to borrow like some of Brent Burns' stuff for that camouflage.
What's in that backpack?
We got to find what's in that bag. There's a coffee machine. There's like everything in there, you know.
I'll do it. I'll show up and I'll jump on Brent Burns. I'll take the backpack. I'll run. It'll be the greatest content we've ever made.
Awesome. Make sure we
I'll
got
just
someone
throw
filming.
everything out of the bag as security is chasing me. Because let's be
go.
real, I'm fat. I've got like 30 steps until I run out of gas. So I got to make that thing count.
This is like straight up a scene from Tom and Jerry or something that's playing out in my head.
Old school cartoons.
Ballerina security purposes, I am completely kidding.
Okay.
No, with Brock Nelson, yeah, he has to be legit. I mean, he has to be legit. He can't be pretty good. He can't be solid. He's got to be, like, really, really, like, he's got to be the guy that he has been for the last, like, 5 years.
Yeah.
If he just does that, you're fine. If he is 18 goals and 40 points, you're tremendously disappointed and you're in trouble.
Yep. He's got to show up and do it. The last thing I did want to do is move beyond players and look at the Avs as a whole. Last year, 49 wins, 102 points. They finished third in the Central Division. Realistically, can the Avs improve on that position this year, either being more total standings points or, even if it's not more total standing points, can they finish higher in the Central?
I mean, I think so, man. Like I was saying, after December 1st, they were the 5th best team, right?
Yep.
And it's not even so much that Dallas and Winnipeg were in front of them and that was the problem. It was the first 25 games of the season, the Avs were the 16th best team.
Yep.
Like that kept them competitive when they had insane injury problems and they had 2 awful goaltenders that were submarining everything they were doing. So, like, if they can just get out of the gate and play, like, you know, like solid, I'm not going to say 700 hockey, but like 650 hockey right out of the gate, you're in great position. Yep. You're a top 10 team. And if you can stay healthy and kind of just keep that level for most of the year, I mean, you're winning 6 games out of every 10 throughout the majority of the season. You're home.
I do believe they break the point barrier from last year. I do. It just seemed like such a drag at times last year, especially because the start of the season was so emotionally tough on everybody, right? I do believe they do finish higher in the standings as well, hence the point production. But I do believe there's, just because of the fact that Nelson's there for the year, the Woods are there for the year. You know what I mean? Like it's some sort of different things like that, you know, from what it was last year. And we all know the lineup at times. What do they use? 50 plus guys? Not normal.
49.
Let's knock on wood. I mean, there you go. Knock on wood. You don't want to see that again. Great on guys getting opportunities. That's awesome for that. You know what I mean? Not fun for the American. Letestu would not be happy as his first year there. You know what I mean? Schneekla, there's all every day you're losing someone. You know, it's not fun, but it's fun because it's fun for the guy to get called up. But you know, for you to run your business down there, it's not easy. Yeah. But I do believe that if you don't run into that, the Avalanche, just with that consistency, and you know, they'll push to bear more points than last year.
It's out of your control, so it's hard. But I do think a lot of the Avalanche fan base has just become numb entirely to the possibility of a reasonably healthy season because it's been so many years in a row.
Of course.
Where, like, it's not even just like all the Avs are injured. They get systemically broken down year after year after year with the ridiculous amount of injuries that they go through, that the normal expectation in December is that Nathan MacKinnon is playing next to Dennis Malgin or something outrageous. Like, half of their forward core is going to be decimated.
Here's a name, Dennis Malgin.
Yeah, and if they get one season where I'm not even asking for perfect health, but just that half their lineup isn't the Colorado Eagles, what I think gets overlooked is not only, with NHL players it's easier to win games, but it lightens the load. You don't have to have the gas pedal pushed to the absolute floor for the entire freaking season. You can take a little bit of the weight off of a MacKinnon, off of a Makar. If you can just stay a little bit healthier.
Here's your point. Who won the Stanley Cup last year?
Florida.
And it's exactly that. Exactly that, right? They just didn't push they didn't push guys back. They didn't, you know what I mean? They were and they wanted to be ready for playoffs. And that's exactly the point you're trying to say here. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, you just don't want to make sure you exhaust yourself. Like, you know what I mean? I know you have to get there. And I think Ben would be on our show right now. He'd be telling you like, oh yeah, if you guys can promise me that we're going to get there, I get that. I won't worry. You know what I mean? But we all know that, you can't promise that.
Yep.
But we all know that on paper and with their history and the way the players are built and this team is built, you should be at the dance, right? But you don't want to exhaust yourself, like you said, to get there, and then no gas left.
And, when we hit January, go ahead.
I think in everything goes right for the Avalanche season, you're looking at like 116 points. If you get most things go right and you're solid beginning to end, you're probably looking at 108, 110 point season from this team. It's a really good team. It's a really well-built team.
I would agree. I would have them in that
Not
range.
arguing there.
When we're in January and Sean Behrens and Taylor Makar are both in the lineup, we will know they're extremely injured as usual. But it is what it is. What can you do about it? Eventually, it'll happen. They'll have a healthy season eventually. It will happen. Might not be this year, but
come on.
Statistically, it has to happen eventually. All right.
Touching wood.
That's all I'm saying. I really do think there is a lot of reason for optimism for the Colorado Avalanche this year. There's no real reason not to believe they should be one of the best teams in the league, and obviously they have to go out and do it. And then when the crunch time comes in the playoffs, they have to perform and go on a run that they've struggled to put together post-Cup win. But especially as we get into the last week of August and really once September starts and we'll start getting into our season preview type stuff, I think there's going to be a lot of hype. I think there's going to be a lot of optimism around the Colorado Avalanche this season, and they should be able to make a push.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about it, they don't have any major injuries right now. Like, LOC is an important part of the team, but last year, Arturi Lehkonen was going to miss the first, 12 games, something like that?
Yeah.
And Val Nichushkin was suspended, and they were playing Ivan and Nikolai Kovalenko between Casey Middlestad on their second line.
Yeah.
Like, there's a huge difference between where they are today versus where they were last season. And, Gabe Landeskog is back in the lineup. You have your captain, all the intangibles, the two-way play. Like, you've got that guy back, but you have Lehkonen and Nichushkin from the start. Nichushkin, his first healthy summer since 2021. You've got two goaltenders that you like and trust a lot more. You've got 6 defenders that you're comfortable with. You're not looking at any of them going, this guy might be a bum. I mean, that starts at number 7, but 1 through 6 right now, you feel good.
Hey.
Like, and after the Kivy, Ranta, and Olofsson signings, you're saying, okay, we've now, our forwards 10 through 14 have gotten so much better.
Yep. Is the Avs lineup perfect? No. How many lineups out there can you legitimately say today are better than theirs? And I get on paper, doesn't always translate to on the ice, sure, whatever. But if I'm looking around the league, maybe Florida, maybe Edmonton, though I don't know that I fully believe that.
Yeah, Edmonton's relying on some kids, unproven.
Yep.
Sometimes perfect's not right. And I do believe, and I'm going to go back to the playoffs, I do believe the Avs have the perfect lineup. I think it's as good as it was in such a long time, and it wasn't right. They didn't get out of the first round.
Yeah,
That's why you play the games.
That's
right. It wasn't a talent thing. It wasn't a they're not good enough thing. They just didn't close. And sometimes that happens. Like
Yep.
sometimes you have a team that just doesn't win the game. Does that mean that your team, can't compete with that roster? And it's a little bit different roster because you've lost some of your forward depth and you have a big question mark at 3C. Whereas you go from Charlie Coyle, Jack Drury. Right now you have Jack Drury and Zakar Bardakov / Parker Kelly / we don't know. But the difference being, right now, I'm not worried about winning the playoffs right now. You have 82 games to get there.
Right.
Like, this isn't going to be, there is no serious contender right now that is looking at the roster going, we will make 0 changes between now and then.
True.
There are other things that will take place. Right now, your biggest question mark is, can Sam Malinski play on your left side on your third pairing, and who's your third line or fourth line center? Everything else is pretty firmed up. You feel good about the rest of it. Yeah, your depth isn't very good. Fair enough. Fair enough.
It's not an uncommon problem in the NHL. We do need to wrap up today's show, though, so we appreciate everyone hanging out. Hope y'all had a good week. We will be back on Monday. We should have some cool stuff next week from the alumni event, too. So keep yourself locked in here to DNVR. Like, subscribe. If you really like us, go check out the DNVR.com. Become a diehard. Read AJ's Olofsson piece. Be ready to read his Natchez piece when it comes along. Bunch of good stuff on there. Also, go get some Taco Bell. We're out of here. This has been the DNVR Avalanche Podcast, and we'll see you on Monday.
We all silly like the mayor.